Still ahead, Alibaba is making a splash on Wall Street. We'll see how the Chinese e-tailer is doing well. Let's take a look at what's next for the company. There was a bell, but it might have well have been a sizzle, as what appears to be the hottest public offering in history began on Wall Street. We are in the final hours of trading after a huge day that saw the debut of Alibaba. The IPO price was $68, but it began at $92.70. It's currently trading at about $92.40. Well, Alibaba hoped to raise more than $20 billion US. It's the biggest e-commerce company in China, yet until now Alibaba was mostly unknown in the United States. Its three main websites have millions of merchants and hundreds of millions of users. And right now it's valued at more than Amazon or Facebook. And there's been growing alarm about the sites potentially selling counterfeit goods. But the company says it has strict guidelines against fake products. And here's some more about Alibaba. It's described as a mix of eBay and Amazon. And the company has about 280 million users. Transactions on its websites have totaled $248 billion just in the last year. That's more than both eBay and Amazon combined. Now, Alibaba has more than 6 billion packages delivered in China in the past year. That's half of all the country's packages deliveries. And the company was founded by Jack Ma, a former English teacher who is now one of China's wealthiest men, worth more than $10 billion. Not bad for a man who flunked his college entrance exam and was passed up by Harvard. Well, for more on Alibaba further, I want to bring in Geoff Sant. He's a special counsel with the business law firm Dorsey & Whitney. He joins us now from our studio in New York. Thanks so much for joining us, Geoff. With an IPO of this magnitude, what's next? It's not just about the money, is it?
Well, it's about many things, and I think the most exciting thing going on here is that Alibaba is a company that's been in the forefront of innovation in China, and with this amount of money in their coffers, they have the opportunity to really go forward and invest in whatever they're interested in terms of technological innovations, in terms of driving how we interact with technology in our daily lives. I see it as being a similar scenario to what you had with Google and Facebook, where they brought in so much money and they immediately began investing it in cutting-edge technology companies. So this could be something that affects many other entities, not just investors and not just Alibaba, but a wide stream of technology companies, a lot of other investors and personnel both in the US, China, and other countries that are interested in these areas. It's very, very exciting.
So it's not just about the cool tech companies that might be in the sights of Alibaba, but what about the big guys? I mean, I was reading now just before we came on air, there are even reports already of an Amazon-Alibaba tie-up.
Well, certainly Alibaba had a relationship with Yahoo in the past, and a lot of these companies are certainly watching very, very closely what happens with Alibaba. And that's both the international companies outside of China and other companies in China. One thing that I think is quite interesting is that some of the US tech companies, such as Twitter or such as Facebook, they might be interested in saying, you know what if we go list in Hong Kong, for example? What if we give an offering in Hong Kong and increase our global scope in that way? And I think a lot of companies are looking at Alibaba from different angles. There's many different scenarios that are very interesting to many different people for different reasons. I think it's also going to cause a huge trend of Chinese companies coming back to list in the US. There was this drought for quite a few years where there was very few Chinese companies coming to the US to list, and I think Alibaba is really going to change that.
I think particularly because there has been concern about the corporate structure of Alibaba. I mean, some investors have warned people that it's dangerous. And so what are the implications for shareholders in investing in a Chinese company that's listed in the US?
Well, I think with any investment, of course there's going to be concerns no matter what the company is, whether it's Chinese or whether it's American companies. A lot of companies have different kinds of lockup agreements, different kind of voting structures. This isn't something unique to Alibaba or unique to China. This particular situation might be different, but pretty much a lot of these companies have special share classes for voting structures and things like that. So I think, yes, go in with your eyes open, definitely look at it. But Alibaba is a name brand company. It's a huge company, and I've heard from other folks, investors in the US and abroad, that watching this IPO is kind of like, you know, the finals of the World Cup or watching the Super Bowl here in the US. It's a big deal, and whether you decide to invest or not, it's definitely something you want to watch.
And the man to watch, of course, is Jack Ma. He's ambitious. What a story. You know, we're talking about a man who's come from nothing. Apparently his hero is Forrest Gump. And, you know, he's obviously made a lot of money just today. I think around $800 million just on Friday. So what do you see? How do you see this man and his vision, his tenacity playing out? I mean, do you think he's trying to change the landscape globally?
All I can say is run, Jack Ma, run. If he can keep his company running the way that Forrest Gump ran, hey, I'm all in favor of that. But speaking seriously, his vision has been very impressive. A lot of folks in China and the world, frankly, look to him as the kind of innovator and the kind of mind that, you know, people in the past have looked towards, for example, Bill Gates or, you know, the leaders of Apple and so forth. They see him as that same kind of innovator and tech genius. And it's kind of interesting how a lot of these folks, you know, they didn't go the academic route. They kind of pursued their own vision, and for many of them it's been quite amazing to watch how well they've done.
Geoff, Sant, thanks a lot for your analysis.
Thank you.
You're watching CNN News Center in just a moment.